Well, greetings, brothers and sisters, and welcome to BBP. We're going to throw a few things overboard today. Keep watching. Well, thank you for joining me here. In returning and rest you shall be saved. In quietness and confidence shall be your strength. Those are the words of the prophet Isaiah in chapter 30. Now, clearly, we all need to build some rest into our hectic lives to keep from hitting the wall and flaming out. When we get too busy to stay focused on our priorities, we become mentally and physically drained, and that gives Satan an opportunity to come in and attack. And as we saw last week with the prophet Elijah, running on overload all the time leaves us vulnerable to attacks. Let me explain a little more how that works. In the book of Nehemiah, chapter 4, we see where he and a bunch of his countrymen went back to Jerusalem to rebuild the walls of the city. Now, in verse 10, the people had been going about their work really hard, and they started to complain that they were getting tired. Now, it didn't take long for their enemies and the countries around them to get downwind of their fatigue. And check out what they say about it here in chapter 4, verse 11. And our adversaries said, they will neither know nor see anything till we come into their midst and kill them and cause the work to cease. Wow. If human enemies can move in that quickly for the kill, how much more so will our supernatural accuser try to take us down? So we need a way to recover quickly when we see that we're on overload. We have to take time to slow down and reprioritize our lives. This is all part of what I said last week about regaining a godly and healthy balance in life. We all need to do this occasionally, and believe me, it really does help. Now, the running joke between me and one of my good friends, when we see that our schedules are getting overloaded, we say that it's time to throw a few things overboard. Now, in Acts chapter 27, we read where Paul and a bunch of others were on a ship sailing to Rome, and they were hit by a violent storm. Now, with the ship getting tossed about and pummeled by the waves, they knew they had to do something to lighten the load. Verse 18. And because we were exceedingly tempest-tossed, the next day they lightened the ship. They had to reprioritize. They had to figure out what can they keep, what can they get rid of. But that didn't help much, because after 3 days more on the sea, the storm wasn't letting up. They had to reprioritize again. Verse 19. On the third day, we threw the ship's tackle overboard with our own hands. Now they're getting down to the nitty-gritty. If you go on and read more in verse 38, it tells us that after they finished eating, they threw the rest of their wheat overboard. Desperate times calls for desperate measures. They had to reassess and decide what is most important. And this is what I'm saying. We have to do this in our own lives too. Too many times, we don't want to get rid of anything that stands between us and rest or safety. But sometimes we must. Now, obviously, I'd be stretching it if I said that this was the main application of this story. But it's still true that sometimes we do need to stop and rest and take a hard look at what we've got going on and what can we do without. So throw a few things overboard today and use that time to get yourself some rest and relaxation. You'll be glad you did. I hope you found this message encouraging today. I love sharing these things with you, and if you have any questions or comments at all, don't hesitate to reach out. The addresses are coming up. That's all the time we have for now, but I'll see you right back here next week with another new video. Until then, keep your eyes on Jesus and not on your troubles. Thank you.